Welcome back from another deep dive. Today we're stepping into a really interesting, maybe slightly unnerving territory. Think of it like a digital Wild West. Our sources are painting this picture where things like your face, your fingerprints, even, believe it or not, your heartbeat, they're becoming the new gold. This biometric bounty, as they call it, might be worth more than gold in them thar hills. So our mission today is really to unpack that. We want to figure out how this really personal data is being collected. What does it actually mean for you, for your digital identity? And what are some of the maybe surprising details hidden in the sources we looked at? It really makes you stop and think, what happens when your fingerprint isn't just opening your phone, but it's suddenly the key to your digital homestead? Let's get into it. Okay, so to kick things off, this biometric gold rush, we hear that phrase, we usually think, okay, fingerprints, maybe face scans, but what else are we talking about here? How broad is this category of biometric data?
Yeah, it's much broader than most people think, and that's what's really striking in the sources. It goes way beyond just the fingerprints and faces. We're talking about really subtle characteristics, like your gait, the specific way you walk, your stride, the rhythm.
Oh, you walk.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
surprisingly unique. Cameras, sensors, they can track that. Then there's your heartbeat rhythm, wearables, other devices. They're getting good at picking up the unique electrical pattern of your heart. And the sources even mention things like how you hold your phone or type, metaphorically, how you hold your six-shooter. These are all unique ways you physically interact, or just are, that can identify you, often without you even, actively doing anything.
Wow, okay. So it's not just the obvious stuff, it's these tiny, almost unconscious things. And how is this data collection happening? It feels so seamless, right?
Yeah.
It's like we barely notice it.
Well, that's where the sources bring in this metaphor of the snake oil salesman. Think about those fitness trackers, right? The smart speakers, all those connected gadgets. They're kind of like undercover Pinkertons, as the sources put it. They offer convenience, health insights, quick answers. Great stuff. But under the surface, they're quietly, constantly collecting your vitals, your movement, your voice, and the scale. That's what's really mind-boggling. The sources estimate that by 2025, there'll be enough biometric data out there to identify every desperado from Deadwood to Tombstone 10 times over.
10 times over?
Yeah, it just gives you a sense of the sheer volume. It's not a small thing. It's a massive global data heart.
Yeah, that scale is, that's startling. A huge amount of incredibly personal and, like you said, often unchangeable data, which naturally leads us to the darker side. What happens when this stagecoach gets robbed? What are the real dangers here? Is this convenience maybe just fool's gold?
Absolutely. The risks are huge precisely because, you can change the password, you can cancel a credit card, but your biometrics, they're tied to you, your physical self.
Yeah.
Once they're compromised, it's incredibly hard, maybe impossible to just change them. And the sources detail some pretty chilling ways this data can be abused. So first, there's this idea of the great train robbery. Criminals aren't just after money anymore. They're stealing whole databases of fingerprints. And with those, they can create synthetic prints, fake ones, physical ones even.
Not just digital copies?
No, physical duplicates sometimes. Good enough to potentially fool scanners, maybe unlock anything from, bank vaults to someone's personal device. And the really scary part, they can leave no trace at the scene, making it super hard to figure out who did it using old methods. Then there's what the sources call the hangman's noose. This is about how authoritarian regimes could use facial recognition. Imagine being able to track down and disappear political opponents faster than a tumbleweed in a dust storm.
That's terrifying.
It is. And it's not science fiction, it's happening. Security cameras become tools for mass surveillance, identifying and tracking people everywhere. It strips away anonymity. And the third one they mention is the old switcheroo, deepfakes, specifically your voice. AI can now create such realistic copies of your voice that someone could make it sound like you are calling your bank, or maybe calling family asking for emergency money.
Oh, wow.
When you never made the call. The AI learns your exact way of speaking, your tone. It's incredibly hard to tell it's fake. It really messes with trust.
That really drives home that privacy paradox, doesn't it? Like the sources say, you can change your secret knock, but you can't swap out your face? Not easily, anyway. It shows how permanent this kind of data is once it's out there.
Exactly. And this isn't just theoretical. The sources mention a real case, the Biosar 2 breach back in 2019. This was a security company, a stagecoach depot, metaphorically speaking. Over 28 million records, fingerprints, facial patterns were stolen.
28 million?
Yeah. Highly sensitive templates used for access control, like in workplaces, secure facilities. And those unique markers, for those 28 million people, They're still floating around the outlaw territories to this day. You can't
Yeah.
just unscan your fingerprint after something like that. It's a permanent risk, and in a way, a lost password just isn't. And this ties right into what the sources are calling surveillance capitalism. They use this image of new cattle barons who aren't branding cattle. They're branding you
Yeah.
and then selling your unique markers to the highest bidder at auction. It's not just about selling data. It's about using your biometrics to predict what you'll do, personalize things for you, and then packaging those predictions to sell to advertisers, insurers, whoever. It turns your most unique patterns into, well, a product, which raises that big question, who actually owns these patterns?
It's a really powerful and, quite disturbing image. And staying on the face for a second, how does face impersonation actually work? It sounds so futuristic, but apparently it's happening now. How did the bandits get your face?
It's gotten alarmingly good, mostly because of AI advancements. The sources point to a few ways. First, deepfakes for video. Not just static pictures, but AI generating convincing video. Moving images of you robbing the bank while you were actually at the saloon. It mimics your expressions, how you talk, move your head. Very hard to spot.
Right.
Second, 3D printed masks. And we're not talking about flimsy party masks. These can be incredibly detailed, capturing texture, contours, realistic enough potentially to fool even the most advanced facial recognition gates.
So someone could literally wear your face.
Potentially, yes, to bypass security or get into places they shouldn't. And then, maybe the one that hits closest to home for many of us, harnessing social media photos. Every picture you post, share, get tagged in, it all adds up to a massive data set. This data gets collected, analyzed, used to create your digital doppelganger. AI learns your features from these photos, helping create those deepfakes or maybe models for masks. The sources put it bluntly, "It wasn't me, Sheriff. Won't hold water when the security camera shows your face clear as day, even if you were 3 towns over."
Yeah, that really changes things for digital evidence, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got this explosion of really sensitive, unchangeable data being collected,
Right.
coupled with these very real, serious risks of abuse, impersonation. Which brings us to another major point from the sources. This feeling that there's just no sheriff in town when it comes to regulating all this. It feels like a lawless space.
It really does. And what's fascinating is the huge difference in how places are handling it.
Yeah.
You've got, say, the European territory. The sources mention GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. That law treats biometric data very seriously, like gold in a vault. Strict rules for collecting it, using it, storing it, and really big fines, hefty bounties if companies misuse it. It aims to give people control.
Okay, so that's one approach.
Right. But then contrast that with the American frontier. It's described really well as a patchwork quilt of state laws. Sure, you have states like California, Illinois that have specific biometric privacy laws, which is good, but it's not federal. You cross a state line and the rules might completely change. The protection might just disappear. The sources say in some places it's like you might as well hand over your face at gunpoint.
Wow.
And then there are the lawless territories, lots of places globally, with basically no laws about who owns your eyeballs, your fingerprints, your heartbeat data. It's literally finders keepers. Huge gaps in regulation.
Which brings us right back to that core question, doesn't it? The one sort of hanging in the air. In this messy, uneven landscape.
Yeah.
Who does own your body's unique patterns?
Yeah.
Is it you? Is it the tech companies collecting it? Is it just whoever grabs it first?
It's the fundamental question, and honestly, we're still figuring it out as a society. The sources also make us think about who we can trust these today's digital deputies. You know, the tech companies themselves, the ones setting up these systems. But the sources ask, can you trust them any more than you trusted the sheriff who was in the pocket of the cattle baron? They even mention Sheriff Zuckerberg and past promises about data protection, sort of asking, how did that work out?
Right.
The underlying point is pretty sharp. When the sheriff is also the saloon owner, the banker, and the undertaker, meaning the same companies collecting the data are profiting from it, making the rules, holding the keys. Who's keeping the peace for you? It raises serious questions about conflicts of interest, and can we really trust them with this incredibly personal, irreplaceable stuff? It's a huge challenge for our legal and ethical systems.
This has been, really eye-opening. And honestly, a little unsettling, this dive into the digital Wild West. We see the convenience, absolutely. Unlocking your phone, quicker checkouts, it's tempting. But then there are these profound risks, often permanent risks, once that data is compromised. It makes you reconsider what convenience means, right?
Yeah.
In the Old West, maybe you didn't lock your saddlebags. Now, leaving things unlocked could mean your face, your walk, your heartbeat. They're just out there.
Indeed. But, you know, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. The sources do offer some practical advice, ways to survive the biometric frontier, protect your digital homestead. First off, guard your claim. Basically, opt out when you can. If an app or service wants your face scan or voice print, ask yourself if it's really necessary. Be mindful of permissions.
Just say no sometimes.
Exactly. Just because they ask doesn't mean you have to give it. Second, know your rights. Read the terms and conditions, especially the privacy policies. It's tedious, I know. But even in that patchwork quilt, you might have rights you didn't know about. The right to say, no thank you, partner, or maybe ask for your data to be deleted. Understanding what you agree to is key. And finally, join the posse. Get involved. Support lawmakers, groups, initiatives that are trying to bring some order, create sensible regulations for this stuff. Your voice, your actual spoken voice, not just the pattern, it matters in shaping how this plays out. Look, the digital frontier, it doesn't have to be as chaotic as Deadwood on a Saturday night. If we're vigilant, if we make informed choices, if we push for clear rules, we can probably enjoy the benefits of this tech without getting totally ripped off. Just remember, the best protected homestead, it's usually the one where the owner keeps a sharp eye on the horizon.